back, guys, to another college training day. I'm so excited to be with you. I'm your host, Christos Kirillou. So how are you doing this today? How's everything?
Great. I'm feeling real good about team endurance. I think they have quite a chance.
What about you, Daniel? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm going to have to say the opposite. I really think that the resistance training team might be a good win today.
What about you, Andrew? Tell us your opinion.
Yeah, well, hello, Christos. I'm excited to be here today. I root for my alma mater, the resistance trained gorillas, to see them moving down on that endurance trained cheetah team.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, so today it'll all come down to who can put the most heart on the field, quite literally.
I mean, you're not wrong. Speaking of the heart, I've heard team endurance and team resistance have quite different strategies on growth in this area.
Let's go ahead and take a closer look. Each team is going to differ in their performance today, partly due to the different types of cardiac remodeling we see resulting from their type of training. This remodeling is called cardiac hypertrophy.
Yeah, it's actually what they're calling eccentric hypertrophy and concentric hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy, you're referring to an increase in muscle mass, right?
Yes, and with that, let's take a closer look at the different type each team is seeing with their training.
So let's take a look at our resistance training team. What makes this team impressive so far this season? Tell us, Daniel.
Well, I think that the resistance training team, they've been working really hard out in the weight room this season, and I really think that's going to help them with this win today.
Yeah, but what about the rumors surrounding the team's high blood pressure response to training?
So that's a good question. So picture it this way. As your blood pressure is increasing, there's a lot of tension on your ventricular wall. So what that wall will do is adapt by becoming thicker to reduce the tension, which is what we call concentric hypertrophy.
Wait. So isn't that bad if the walls are thickening and the chamber size isn't increasing as well?
Well, while the thickening of your ventricular wall may reduce the size of the chamber, these athletes should still be able to perform at high levels, but they would be better off if they did include some cardiovascular training in their off-season.
Let's take a look at this year's endurance training team. What makes these athletes so impressive? Tell us, Rich.
So with our endurance athletes, we're going to see a large increase in chamber size, and this is what we're calling eccentric hypertrophy.
Why is this large increase in chamber size, or so-called eccentric hypertrophy, beneficial for the team?
I'm glad you asked, Daniel. So with eccentric hypertrophy, we can see an increase in blood flow, stroke volume, and this leads to an increase in VO2 max overall, helping them last throughout the entire game.
But Reese, I've also heard there are potentially some negative side effects to prolonged endurance training in these athletes.
Yeah, and I also heard that it could lead to AFib.
Speaking of that, let's take a look at this season's injury report.
So, looking first at the endurance team, we are seeing that some of their players are out with atrial fibrillation and increased cardiac risk, all due to their eccentric hypertrophies. However, we are only seeing this in about 3 to 10% of the athletes, as it is pretty rare. Meanwhile, some of the players on the resistance team are experiencing stiffer arteries due to the high blood pressure response that they must overcome with resistance training. This is limiting the amount of blood flow that they can get to their muscles. Yet, even with these injuries, it looks like both teams are going to be alright this season, as these changes in the heart resulting from cardiac remodeling are reversible.
Taking a look at the highlights from last week, the resistance team is coming off to a great conference win after blowing out the hypertensive team. It looks like the hypertensive team is not going to be able to make a comeback. Their hypertrophy is irreversible, and doctors are saying that arteries are so stiff due to high blood pressure.
Let's take a look at the highlights from the endurance training game versus the cross-training team. So the endurance training team had a close game with the cross-trainers and went into double overtime.
What do you think helped the cross-trainers win this game?
So cross-training is very beneficial to the heart, as you see an increase in gross chamber size and wall thickness. This allows for the greatest stroke volume, and we see this serves as the best training for athletes.
With that being said, we will see you shortly after this commercial break.